It often starts with something small. You misplace your keys, again. A word hovers on the tip of your tongue, but refuses to land. A familiar face looks suddenly unfamiliar. At first, you brush it off. Stress, you say. A lack of sleep. But deep down, a quiet fear begins to stir. What if this is something more? What if it's the beginning of memory loss? For millions of older adults, that fear has a name: dementia. It's not just forgetting birthdays or misplacing a phone. It's forgetting pieces of yourself, who you are, who you've been, and the people you love. And when that fear becomes a reality, it doesn't just affect the one experiencing it. It ripples outward, touching spouses, children, friends, every corner of a life built over decades. The cruelty of dementia lies in how slowly and silently it creeps in. And yet, what if we could push back? What if we could slow it, stall it, or in some cases, avoid it altogether? Harvard Medical School recently published eye-opening findings about how 5 seemingly harmless everyday foods may be quietly chipping away at our brain health. And these aren't exotic poisons or dangerous chemicals. They're in your pantry, your refrigerator, your plate, and over time, they may contribute to the very erosion of memory and focus we're so desperately trying to protect. But here's the good news: knowledge is power. By understanding what harms and what heals, we can take control one small habit at a time. And you don't have to be a doctor to make these changes. You don't need expensive treatments or complicated regimens. You just need awareness and the courage to act on it. I want to share with you today not just the foods to avoid, but the science behind why they harm your brain and the small, achievable shifts that could make a big difference in the years ahead. Because your brain, at every age, deserves to be nourished, protected, and respected. And no matter your history, it's never too late to start protecting your memory, starting with your next meal. One of the first foods that raised red flags in the Harvard study was something many of us have grown up trusting: refined sugar. It's in our coffee, in our cereal, in the bread that promises to be healthy but still hides spoonfuls of sweeteners. Now, sugar itself isn't the enemy. Our brains actually run on glucose, a natural sugar that fuels our thinking, decision-making, even our emotions. The problem is excess, and more importantly, where that sugar is coming from. Refined sugars, especially those found in processed foods, pastries, and sugary drinks, cause rapid spikes and crashes in blood sugar. That roller coaster stresses the brain. It triggers inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which have been strongly linked to the gradual breakdown of brain cells over time. Imagine your brain like a garden. Too much sugar is like pouring gasoline into the soil. It doesn't nourish, it scorches. And while you may not feel the damage in your 40s or 50s, by the time your memory begins to fade, those early habits have already carved deep grooves. Dr. Martha Clare Morris, a nutritional epidemiologist at Rush University who collaborated with Harvard researchers, emphasized this point in her pioneering work on the Mind Diet, a brain-boosting plan that has now become a cornerstone of dementia prevention. Her findings show that older adults who followed the diet closely had memory retention equal to people nearly 8 years younger. The key: cutting back on refined sugar and replacing it with nutrient-dense foods that protect brain cells. So what can you do today? Start small. If you normally stir 2 spoonfuls of sugar into your tea, try 1. Reach for fruit instead of packaged snacks. Berries, especially blueberries and strawberries, are rich in antioxidants that help sweep away the oxidative stress sugar leaves behind. Try drizzling a handful of blueberries into your yogurt, or freezing grapes for a sweet, cooling treat. Over time, your taste buds will adapt, and your brain will thank you. It's not about removing sweetness from your life. It's about finding the kind that heals, rather than harms. Because every decision you make in the kitchen is a message to your brain. I want you to last. I want you to stay sharp. I'm not giving up on you. And for many, that's the beginning of healing. The second surprising culprit Harvard flagged is one that often hides behind convenience and tradition-processed meats. Think deli ham, bacon, sausages, and even those little slices of salami we serve on crackers during holidays. They're salty, flavorful, easy to store, and, for many families, a staple. But beneath that familiar taste lies a dangerous pattern. These meats are typically preserved with nitrites and nitrates chemicals used to prevent spoilage and give processed meats that pinkish color. Over time, however, these compounds can turn into nitrosamines in the body, substances that have been shown to cause inflammation and damage blood vessels, including the ones that nourish your brain. And when those tiny vessels weaken or clog, the brain begins to suffer from a lack of oxygen and nutrients. It's like turning down the dimmer switch on your brain's energy supply. Day after day. Several long-term studies, including those cited by Harvard, have found that high consumption of processed meats is associated with a significantly increased risk of cognitive decline and dementia. But what's especially heartbreaking is that many people eat these foods, believing they're getting protein or energy, without realizing what they're sacrificing in return. The good news is, alternatives exist, and you don't have to overhaul your whole diet overnight. Begin with one swap. Instead of reaching for bacon in the morning, try scrambled eggs with sautéed spinach and a sprinkle of turmeric, both of which are rich in compounds that support brain health and reduce inflammation. If you enjoy a sandwich at lunch, consider using grilled chicken or hummus with fresh vegetables on whole grain bread. It might feel like a small change, but when you swap processed for fresh, you're signaling to your body that it's worth the effort to protect what matters most: your clarity, your memories, your connection to the world around you. And for every time you choose something nourishing, you're building a kind of defense line inside your brain, one bite at a time. The third food may come as a shock because for decades, we were told it was a health hero: margarine and other highly processed vegetable oils. In the 1980s and 90s, margarine was marketed as the smart alternative to butter. It was cheaper, cholesterol-free, and loaded with something called trans fats. But in recent years, Harvard and other leading institutions have drawn a very different picture, one that's especially concerning for older adults worried about memory loss. Trans fats, which are now banned in many countries but still linger in some processed foods and older pantries, are incredibly damaging to the brain. They stiffen cell membranes, increase inflammation, and block the flow of nutrients to neurons, the very cells responsible for thought, memory, and communication. A landmark study published in Neurology, using data from thousands of participants, found that those with the highest levels of trans fats in their blood had up to a 75% increased risk of developing Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. And the danger doesn't disappear with age. If you're in your 60s or 70s, your brain is still forming new connections, still adapting, but it needs the right materials. Feeding it the wrong kind of fat is like trying to build a house with crumbling bricks. So, how can we change this? First, check the labels. Even if a product says 0 grams trans fat, Look for the words partially hydrogenated oil. That's the giveaway. If you see it, put it back. Then, begin replacing bad fats with healthy ones. Extra virgin olive oil, for instance, is a staple in the Mediterranean diet, one of the most scientifically backed eating patterns for protecting memory. It's rich in polyphenols and monounsaturated fats that actually feed the brain and reduce cognitive decline. You can drizzle it over roasted vegetables, use it in salad dressings, or even add it to a warm bowl of soup for depth and richness. Over time, your body adapts, and more importantly, your brain begins to rebuild. Because the truth is, memory is not just about what you've lost. It's about what you can still protect. And every time you choose to nourish instead of neglect, you're proving that it's never too late to change the story. The fourth food on Harvard's list might seem innocent, especially since it often comes in cheerful packaging and promises to boost energy or keep you full. But behind those bright claims are artificially flavored snack foods, chips, cheese puffs, flavored crackers, and yes, even those low-fat diet snacks marketed to older adults. The issue isn't just the calories or salt. It's what these foods are missing. Real nutrients, vital vitamins, brain-protective antioxidants. When we fill our plates or worse, our hunger with empty, ultra-processed snack foods, we crowd out the very things our brains are craving. And over time, these so-called foods send a signal to your body: survive. Don't thrive. Researchers at Harvard and the University of São Paulo found that diets high in ultra-processed foods were linked to accelerated cognitive decline in older adults, up to 28% faster in some participants. Why these foods often contain a chemical cocktail of additives, flavor enhancers, and preservatives that have little to no nutritional value. They increase inflammation, disrupt the gut-brain connection, and fail to provide the building blocks your brain needs to repair itself. Think of your brain as a living, breathing organ, not unlike your heart. You wouldn't fuel your heart with plastic and expect it to beat strongly. Your brain is no different. So how do we shift away from these foods? Especially when convenience is key. Try this next time you want a crunchy snack. Skip the chip bag and reach for a handful of walnuts. They're rich in omega-3 fatty acids proven to support brain function and reduce inflammation. If you need something quick on the go, keep sliced carrots or cucumber sticks in the fridge, paired with a little hummus. Not only are you giving your brain real fuel, but you're also reclaiming your relationship with food, one that honors your health rather than sabotaging it. And that shift, however quiet it may seem, begins to ripple outward. You'll feel more clear-headed, more focused, and slowly, the fear that once whispered, "What if I lose myself?" is answered by a quiet, confident, "I'm still here. I'm taking care of me." The fifth and final food that Harvard researchers warn about is perhaps the most deceptive of them all: diet sodas and artificially sweetened beverages. For years, they've been promoted as a smarter alternative to sugary drinks. 0 calories, the labels boast. No sugar, they promise. But what they don't tell you is what replaces the sugar, and how those replacements may be confusing your brain in ways we're only beginning to understand. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin are designed to mimic the taste of sugar without the calories. But according to recent studies, including one published by Harvard-affiliated researchers in the journal Stroke, people who consumed just one diet soda per day had a significantly increased risk of stroke and dementia. Why scientists believe these sweeteners may disrupt the gut microbiome, the delicate balance of bacteria in your digestive system that communicates directly with your brain. They also confuse your body's insulin response and may lead to increased cravings, overeating, and long-term metabolic issues, all of which can accelerate cognitive decline. It's like sending your brain mixed messages every day, training it to expect sugar, but denying it the tools to properly process that sweetness. Over time, that confusion leads to wear and tear on systems that keep your mind sharp. But you don't have to give up flavor or refreshment. Instead, try infusing water with slices of lemon, cucumber, or berries. You can also explore herbal teas like peppermint or rooibos, both of which offer natural taste and health benefits without any artificial interference. And if you still miss the fizz, look for sparkling mineral waters with no added sweeteners. It may take a few weeks for your taste buds to recalibrate, but the clarity and energy that returns is worth every step. Because this isn't about perfection, it's about direction. And every time you choose something natural over something artificial, you're reminding your body and your brain that healing is possible. That even in a world full of shortcuts and substitutes, you're choosing the long road, the meaningful road, the one that leads home, to yourself. There's a common belief, quietly repeated in waiting rooms and family dinners, that dementia is simply a part of aging. Everyone gets forgetful. Someone might say, it's just what happens when you get old. But that belief, while comforting in its simplicity, is dangerously misleading. Yes, memory changes can occur with age, but dementia is not an inevitable part of growing older. And accepting it as such can prevent people from taking the steps that might protect their minds and preserve their independence. One of the most harmful myths is the idea that nothing can be done, that once you start to forget, the decline is permanent, irreversible, and untreatable. But modern research paints a far more hopeful picture. Doctors and scientists from institutions like Harvard, the Mayo Clinic, and the Cleveland Clinic have shown that lifestyle factors, especially diet, movement, sleep, and mental stimulation, can have a profound impact on brain health, even after early signs of decline. Dr. Dale Bredesen, a UCLA-trained neurologist, has conducted pioneering studies where patients with early cognitive impairment showed reversed symptoms after following a comprehensive lifestyle program that removed brain-toxic foods, improved nutrition, optimized sleep, and reduced stress. It wasn't a miracle pill. It was a commitment to change. Another common myth is that memory loss always looks the same. People imagine forgetting names or getting lost, but early signs can be much more subtle, struggling to find words, losing focus in conversations, or suddenly feeling overwhelmed by simple decisions. By understanding these early cues, families can seek support earlier, and the earlier we intervene, the more brain function we can preserve. And perhaps the most painful myth of all is the fear that dementia erases a person's worth. That once memories begin to fade, so too does dignity. But anyone who has loved someone through cognitive decline knows the truth: the soul remains. The warmth, the smile, the laugh, they may flicker, but they are never gone. And every act of care, every effort to nourish the brain, is an act of deep love, not just for the person we remember, but for the person who still is. By letting go of these myths, we make space for real hope, for science, for action, and for the belief that, even now, We are not powerless. So here's what I want you to remember, what I hope stays with you. Long after this video ends and the quiet of your day returns, your brain is still listening. Even now, it's adapting, healing, growing. You are not stuck. You are not broken. No matter your age, no matter your past choices, you can begin again. Every meal, every walk, every good night's sleep, it all counts. Not just for the health of your heart or your bones, but for the very essence of who you are. Your memories, your stories, your laughter, your love. You've spent a lifetime building those things. They are worth protecting. And the truth is, change doesn't have to feel overwhelming. It starts with small, loving decisions. Swapping soda for lemon water. Choosing olive oil over margarine. Sitting in the sun for 10 quiet minutes. Laughing with a friend. Reading something new. Or simply resting. Without guilt. Because rest is repair. You are not racing against time, you are walking with it. Gently. Step by step. With the wisdom that only years can bring. Let the world chase quick fixes. Let the headlines scream for attention. You are doing something quieter, something wiser. You are feeding your brain the way it deserves to be fed, with care, with honesty, and with hope. And if no one has told you today, let me be the first: your health is not a lost cause. You are still here. You are still capable. You are still you. So go on. Choose one small thing today that supports your mind, and then do it again tomorrow. Because memory, like a garden, blooms with attention, and the best time to plant seeds for tomorrow's clarity is right now. Thank you for watching, and thank you for caring for your future, and for the people who love you. You're not alone on this journey, and the best chapters of your life may still be ahead.